Welcome everyone to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we are revisiting Cruel Intentions from 1999. So, get all of your scrapbooking materials out and get ready for another episode of Old Roommates.
Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
This is Christina.
And this week we are talking about Cruel Intentions, released March 5th, 1999. We begin, as we always do, by talking about then, Christina, when was the first time you saw Cruel Intentions?
So the first time was probably my only time. I don't think I revisited it after that or watched it after that. It was definitely a video, and I believe I was alone watching it. I think it was one of those, let's just give it a try.
Huh.
Right? So, and I remember liking this movie. In fact, I remember, obviously, it's a version of Dangerous Liaisons.
Right.
And I remember thinking that I liked it more than Dangerous Liaisons at that point in time.
Okay.
Obviously it was not a perfect movie. I will tell you, Selma Blair bothered me so much back then. I was like, what is this weird character doing in this movie?
Yeah.
But other than that, I liked the movie. I thought it was entertaining. I liked the ending. What about you, Brian? What is your history of this movie?
So, I did see this at the movie theater. I'm not one to brag, but I started a movie theater. And I remember loving it and really being, genuinely shocked by the dialogue, the scenes. I mean, it was all out there. And I think to be gay, when again, I've talked about this a lot in this podcast, where it's you're looking for any gay representation.
Sure.
I mean, there's there's gay scenes, lesbian, scenes and gay men scenes. And so it kind of put it all out there. And I actually remember finding it kind of refreshing and edgy and daring. And I remember thinking that because it was Sarah Michelle Gellar, it wouldn't be quite so edgy because she's sort of more of a TV star.
Right.
And and then you see people like Swoosie Kurtz and Christine Baranski, and you're like, oh, well, they're not going to put their reputations on the line for some cheesy teen sex movie.
Right.
But it really went there. I was pretty impressed by the movie back then.
Yeah.
So now, when did you rewatch this for this episode?
I rewatched it, I feel like it was about a week ago.
Okay.
Somewhere around a week ago. And it was, it was just one of those, just me watching it again, once again, and watching it alone. And I didn't really have any expectations of this movie. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't really thinking it would be good, bad, or indifferent. I do appreciate the fact that we watched Dangerous Liaisons not too long ago. It was about a year ago. Okay. It was actually longer than a year ago.
Oh, it feels like longer than a year.
It was episode number 109.
Okay.
And we're on, this is
200
and something. So it was 100 episodes ago.
So that's 2 years ago. Yeah.
So it was 2 years ago. So Dangerous Liaisons number 109. But I feel like it feels more recent than that. And I appreciated that I watched it, although I don't think it gave this movie justice because of watching it recently.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Well, I started watching this movie and my first thought was these people, I know who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be these rich bitches and all that, right? These people are so smug and so unlikable and so unrelatable that I was like, ew. I didn't really enjoy them and I didn't enjoy the interactions with each other. And from the beginning all the way up through, and it wasn't with every character, but it was definitely with the two main characters, which was Ryan and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Catherine and Sebastian were the characters' names. I felt like they were doing their best impersonation of Dangerous Liaisons. And the way that they even spoke to each other, I didn't buy it. It didn't seem real. It seemed very much like they were reading a script. I'm thinking to myself the whole time, people don't talk to each other like this way. This is not something that people say to each other. They're trying to pretend to be adults.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot of that for me in this time around. Before I go any further and talk about the whole entire movie, what were your first impressions, Brian?
Yeah, my first impression was that, what world are we in right now? It felt so, and this is, oh my God, I feel like I have more than a few notes about this, but this is not a critique of the acting. Okay. It's not. I think it's the posturing, it's the directing, it's the wardrobe, it's the settings. Like, where are these people's parents? Mm-hmm. What do they do all day?
Like, are they playing
none
house?
Of it. It felt like I was watching a play, particularly with Sebastian and Catherine. I didn't buy a single thing they were saying to each other.
Right.
And to the point where I'm like, they haven't already fucked? Like, they're so over-sexualized that I'm like, they would have fucked by now.
Absolutely.
They would have done something. This isn't believable. Why the sudden interest in wanting to sleep with each other?
Right.
Like, they're step siblings, gross. But you said it earlier, and I wish I could remember exactly the wording you used, but it was just, it's just not believable. Like, the things, like, is it still salty and scandalous? Sure. Is it believable? Not really. Who are these people?
It's not believable.
Yeah,
not
they're
relatable. Not any of that.
But I don't even know if it's even trying to be relatable. I feel like, to me it was more like, but I have to believe that they believe it. And to me, much more than before, because I liked it before.
Right, I did too.
But now I feel like they were trying to push the envelope with the dialogue. I mean, they're saying things like faggot, fudge packer. They're saying things, I don't want to skim my notes while we're waiting for me to talk, but it's like, they're just saying things that are, I mean, at one point she says, I want to fuck. And it's like, no, not buying it.
People do not speak that way.
Well, the thing is, because the entire dialogue before that is very, like, calculating and careful and structured and bitchy and snarky and double-hand, like, not passive-aggressive, but like a backhanded compliments and vicious. And then she just screams, I want to fuck. And it's like, so which is it? Now you're just saying things to shock. And it felt much more forced this time around. And again, I will say, at the same time, I don't think they're bad in this. I don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar is bad. I don't think Ryan Phillipe is bad. I will say, through my middle-aged lens, Sebastian's kind of a twerp. It's never really explained until the end, although it's not really explained. But why don't more people just beat him up? He's a skinny kid.
Right.
I mean, he's rich. Everyone in this movie's rich.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense. And it's like, he's threatening people's reputations and lives over and over again. No one's kicked this kid's ass. Like, just punch him in the face, knock him out. Yeah. His parents wouldn't care. They're not even around. Like, so, yeah, it just this time around, it felt wildly unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, the whole entire time I'm watching this movie, it just felt like they were pretending to be in Dangerous Liaisons.
Do you think their acting was bad?
No, I think it's the directing.
Yeah.
I think it's the directing and the writing.
Yeah. The writing, and it's really unfortunate because the writing the first time around is what I loved most about it. I loved how edgy and pushy and envelope pushing it was. And this time around, I'm like, oh my God, this dialogue is rough.
Do you remember where in this you watched, like, Dangerous Liaisons? Do you remember comparing it to it?
I think it's hard not to.
But even beforehand, like, did you feel like? I mean, I forget. I think you liked Dangerous Liaisons at the beginning, right? And I know we both liked it at rewatch. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, because I don't think I liked Dangerous Liaisons as much. And I think that's part of why I liked Cruel Intentions.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
the
back
comparison
then.
speaking, back then. Yeah, the opposite is true now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's very bizarre.
Which makes sense for our, I have to be honest, and which makes sense for our age.
Of course,
right?
yeah,
I mean, it's like, who are we relating to more? The middle-aged crowd?
Right.
Performances.
Or even like the period piece.
Period piece,
right?
yeah. And I'm not even a period piece kind of person. But at the same time, I will say there are some enjoyable moments in this. There's like Christine Baranski. She plays a rather sort of really single-minded, racist, wealthy woman.
Yes,
but
she plays it really
she
well.
has some lines that are like, it's like, close your legs. This isn't Jamaica.
Yeah. Yes.
And you find out
she was a great character.
Great, and I love Susie Kurtz in the beginning.
Yes, and she was also in
Yes,
Dangerous
she's very good. Yeah, yeah. And she when Christine Baranski's character says, I can't believe they didn't expel him after what he did to the school nurse. I mean, you don't even have to know what he did or even know Sebastian to get a bigger picture of Sebastian.
Yes.
Which that to me is funny though, throwing middle-aged lens, because I'm like, well, if it's sexual assault, he should probably not be going to that school anymore. He'd probably be expelled. But now I have something very major to say. Okay. And I want to be clear about something because the person I'm about to mention is currently going through some very serious health issues. Okay. Selma Blair. Yes. We know she has multiple sclerosis. Mm-hmm. And by the way, my sister does as well. And I am sitting here before you with a type of cancer. But at the same time, I don't think it doesn't exonerate someone from maybe career choices they made in the past. Yes. Because it's like, say, look at me. We're revisiting stuff of past performance. And I just want to be very clear, because what I'm about to say might sound mean and very hypercritical.
Say it.
But here's the thing. Here's my example. I know I was a mailman for 4 days. I don't think after my cancer diagnosis, people are going to go, but he was such a good mailman if you think about it. Correct. No, I sucked. Selma Blair is so bad in this movie. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I blame her or the director, but I think they're both at fault. Her character is so dumb and the performance is so odd. I can't, because
odd is the perfect word for that.
Her acting choices are so odd in this. She plays a 14-year-old, and I think in this, she was in her 20s, but she's playing 14. She's a freshman. So, but the whole reason why Catherine, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, wants revenge on Selma Blair's character is because Court, her ex-boyfriend, essentially dumped her for Cecile, who plays Selma Blair. Now, that's already a bit suspect because Court is older. We know this. So he's dating a 14-year-old. That's a little unusual. But this would have to make Cecile. That's her name, right? Yes. Did I say Camille? Cecile. This would have to make Cecile attractive in some way. And the way she is performed by Selma Blair, there is nothing attractive about Cecile.
I wrote, why is she desirable? Why?
She is so dumb.
Why is she supposed to be desirable?
She's dumb. She's awkward. She's bratty. She's a virgin. She's whiny.
So immature.
Oh my God.
It's like she has been living in a box. Yeah. Her whole life, and then they opened up the
spread
box.
eagle. Yep.
She has no idea, no social graces.
No.
She's allegedly from a wealthy family. Yeah. So you would have thought they would have at least given her some sort of etiquette lessons of some sort. This character is laughable.
But
how badly it is.
Yeah, and it's
how bad it is.
She's clearly she might as well have a T-shirt on saying comic relief, but she's not. But it's not funny.
She
didn't
have to because she had a koala T-shirt on, if you remember correctly.
Yes, I know. And her mother never would have let her wear that.
Nope.
To Catherine's house.
No, she wouldn't have. So I don't know who I blame. Yeah. I feel like the director should have done something. I don't understand how the director could look at this performance and say, yep, that's a take.
Cut. Perfect.
Yeah. No way. So many times. And it's just bizarre. And even at the end, she all of a sudden, she's like this suave, here's your copy of the, this book.
Well, I would argue, does it
Not
take
suave,
much?
But, she just handed it to her. Right, but she wasn't, earlier in the movie, she probably would have thrown it up in the air. This performance is so horrible.
It's really bad.
I can't even.
And it's from one scene to there's no character arc for her. So the writer-director is Robert Cumble is his name. And it's so when Sarah Michelle Gellar is brushing her hair in the park, okay?
Yes.
By the way, this whole movie is 97 minutes. It feels like a movie trailer to me. There's every scene is 90 seconds long.
Snippets.
It's which I have to be honest, I didn't mind that.
No, it helped me get through it, to be honest.
But I'll say so at one point, Catherine's brushing Cecile's hair. And Cecile is telling her about Court and that the reason why Court dumped, and she doesn't know, and this is the other thing, she doesn't even realize who she's talking to. I find that hard to believe. Yes. So she said, oh yeah, well, Court says his ex-girlfriend was a bulimic head case. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously Catherine. So Catherine yanks her hair. And Cecile goes, ow! And then she's fine. And not even a half second later. Yeah. She's like, so anyway, it's really bad.
Yeah. You have no idea, why this guy chose her, like you said. There's no reason why anybody would ask this child out. She acts like she's 8 years old.
Yeah.
So that is ridiculous. The taking her under her wing for revenge didn't make any sense.
No. Because here's the truth. Why would Court care about Cecile's reputation and history? He was dating Catherine and getting blowjobs with with the convertible top down. I mean, why would he care about what Cecile's history is or past? Catherine is a big, by her own words, a big slut.
Right.
So so he dated her. So why would he care what Cecile's situation is?
I'm so sorry. So are we supposed to believe that this guy's in love with this girl?
Yes.
This is what we're supposed to
believe.
This would be
because Catherine's going to break his heart.
He's supposed to hurt him.
Yeah.
By soiling Cecile's reputation.
Yeah.
It does not translate. None of it translates.
Yeah.
None of it.
What is Cecile's reputation now? A big dummy?
She's not even well known anywhere. They don't even. She's brand new to the school. She's a weird child.
How about this? They're on the picnic blanket.
It's so weird.
And Catherine brings up, she has this music instructor, this really, super nice black guy. And that's important because it becomes racist later on. So, but why does he like her? It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense why anybody likes her.
Catherine suggests that, hey, she believes the music instructor likes Cecile.
Yes.
And then maybe she should do something about it. And she puts it online. She's like, he writes me love letters and I keep them in the dollhouse. But then she's like, well, I don't understand. Why don't you just be with him? I can't do the phenomenal acting, but here's what she says. She stands up and goes, I do like him. I think about him all the time. I don't know what to do if my mother found out. She would kill me. And I wrote, take a chance. She is, and from the end of that sentence, she's back to no emotion again. It's really bad.
It's really, really bad. Yeah, I was watching this and I'm like, does the director have family ties?
I thought the same thing.
Selma Blair's
and he also, later on, he did a movie called The Sweetest Thing with Cameron Diaz.
Oh, and she's
Christina
in there too.
Applegate. Remember, she gets her mouth stuck on a guy's penis because he has a piercing.
Yeah, there was something going on there.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and she's in that too.
In itself was terrible.
It's an awful movie. And she, again, is that same dumb, awkward character.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I don't understand.
I liked her. By the way, I liked her in Legally Blonde. There's other things I've liked her in, but she's
I like her as well.
Yeah.
It's just this performance is so.
I think in her,
and then when she starts having sex with Sebastian, that whole, you know what I'm talking about, when Catherine was basically saying, I think it was after they started having sex, and Catherine says something to her like, "Oh, you're gonna have to have more sex" or something like that, and she does this whole thrusting moment, like, I wanted to throw up on myself. I'm like, what is she doing? Who is she supposed to be? Is she supposed to be slow? I just didn't understand what she was supposed to be.
I think somewhere along the line, they must have kept saying to her, "You're 14. You're 14." So maybe
she didn't
it's
know
a
what
weird
a 14
thing.
was. It's like you and ages. She didn't know.
But I think maybe that's part of it where it's like they kept telling her younger, but the problem is, respectfully, I think even Selma Blair would agree, she doesn't look 14. So it ends up looking really goofy and weird.
And no 14 acts like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you right now, I know my daughter is 15 years old. None of her friends have ever acted like that, truly. She's acting more like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, she really is. It's
that
not
is
good.
Truly
it's
what
not
it
good.
is. It's way younger than 14.
It's honestly like one of those age reversal comedies, like Big or something.
Yes.
Like she's really playing a very much younger person.
But I will say, I loved
looks odd.
The 2 times I really loved her in this movie was when Catherine pushed her off the couch and when Sebastian threw her off the bed. Those are the 2 parts where I was like, yes, good, she needed that.
I liked her. I thought she was great.
Terrible.
I actually really liked Selma Blair with the phone call. When they're like, "Cecile, stop crying. Stop crying,
that's
Cecile."
Funny. Yeah,
very funny.
She wasn't really...
Very funny. She wasn't in those scenes.
She wasn't really in
but
those scenes,
it was,
but you could hear her.
for her acting,
It's really funny.
Love Fool is featured, that song Love Fool. Which is, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
They don't usually do that. Can we talk about the Gregster?
Yes.
I imagine people call him Gregster because they say the Gregster about 17 times, and he's in like 2 scenes of the movie. Yeah. I did think he was cute. I remembered him well.
Yeah, he was cute.
Again, but there's a situation where I'm like, the Gregster could totally beat the living shit out of Sebastian with one hand tied behind his back.
But he was afraid of getting outed.
Right.
Right? So I can understand that
Christina,
part of it.
Sebastian's holding, or someone's holding the camera, right?
Yeah.
He could beaten Sebastian and grabbed the camera and broke it.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
true. That's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
I don't know.
Yeah. What's funny is I didn't remember that part of the storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I'm like,
And by the way, a total wasted moment because it wasn't even him that told Annette, played by Reese Witherspoon.
So again, I think they were trying to be edgy, trying to
get some gay storyline in there.
Yeah.
He has a mouth like a Hoover. That was the line that email is for geeks and pedophiles. That was fun. Okay, then here we go. So why would Ronald, the music instructor, like Cecile? I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
I wrote, why would...
He was like a smart, good-looking man, wealthy, like...
And he should know better. Also, it's his student. Also, she's 14.
Yes. And he seemed a lot older.
He did. Yeah. And also, it's funny because the mother is more bothered by the fact that he's black and not that it's statutory rape. I mean, no one talks about age.
I don't think anybody knows how old they're supposed to be.
I have that note later on.
Yeah, none of them. Yeah. None of them know how old they're supposed to be.
I mean, Catherine, I guess, is going to her senior year, so which makes her 17, 18.
She acts like she's 30.
Absolutely. Okay. Here we go. So I just have, where are Catherine and Sebastian's parents? Did I miss something?
They did say something on one quick little thing that they're touring somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they're divorced, actually. I think they're divorced and they're in different areas of the world.
What does Catherine do all day?
She rubs up against her stepbrother. That's what she does.
She just plots little plans
she
and...
sniffs her little cocaine cross.
And the other thing about that whole grinding the stepbrother stuff, that is so awkward to me. And she's like licking his face.
It was gross. It's just gross.
Too much.
It's not
just
sexy.
Too much.
It makes her look desperate.
Yes.
Whereas if you compare it to Glenn Close, which she was amazing in.
And she never did any of that.
She never did.
She never lowered herself.
Yeah. She didn't have to rub up against, we used to call him Malcolm, right? It's John Malkovich. She didn't have to rub up against him. Just her words, her looks, her the fact that he couldn't touch her was what was so desirable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think Catherine missed the mark. Like, every chance she could get, she's dry humping him. And it was weird and awkward, and he wasn't even reacting all that much. I think he felt like it was a little bit awkward at times.
Yeah.
It was just, and again, direction. It was, who is directing this? Like, who is saying, lay on top of him. Yeah. Rub your body against him. And Ryan, that's too much facial expression. Right? Like, who is doing this?
It's super awkward. And I remember back then I was like, oh my God, this is really edgy. Now it's just awkward and uncomfortable and weird and gross. Yeah.
So, I mean, the other part about this whole thing is this whole bet, this whole thing, deflower the headmasters, whatever, and then you can sleep it with me. I felt like the stakes were not that high. The whole thing about her reputation and she's the good girl and all this kind of stuff, everything they were talking about was so intense. Mm-hmm. And the stakes were like, what are the stakes?
Right.
You can sleep with her?
Yeah, and I'll get his car. Yeah.
That was the biggest stake in the whole deal.
The car.
But you know that he can just call Daddy up and get a new one.
Well, that's exactly right. That's a really good
point. So it wasn't even that bad. But the fact that, like...
Yeah, exactly. That's Chrissy. That's a really awesome point. How are they going to explain that to the parents? Oh, wait, where's Sebastian's car? Oh, I took it.
I gave it to Catherine.
We had a bet that I could screw over the headmaster's daughter. Oh, okay, kids, we're going to Italy.
But it was just so weird. Like, the whole thing was weird. Like, the stakes were not there. At least in Dangerous Liaisons, you got it. Because it was that era. It was the reputation. Was everything. Yeah. Here, who cares about the stupid reputation? They have money.
There's a million kids at that school.
There's a million kids.
A lot of them are damaged.
God, it was so dumb.
Okay, so now I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because Annette, played by Reese Witherspoon, is introduced. And, they have these little moments, and I will say little moments. And then just in case you forgot the little moments, my favorite thing in these 95-minute movies, let's have a montage. Let's have a montage of flashbacks. They have, 3 scenes together. Mm-hmm. One of the scenes in that flashback was like after they fought, which is so stupid. And it's like you're desperate for content when one of the flashback happy scenes is actually after they fought. I mean, they don't even. It is so bad. It is one thing that through this podcast, I'm really realizing, like, if your movie is under 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever, you don't need a flashback.
We can remember
those 3 scenes you had together.
Yeah.
To music. Thanks. Yep. Sebastian says, I am completely infatuated with her. I'm like, really? Because she made goofy faces at you in the car? I felt so bad. I felt so bad for Reese. I felt bad for her.
That was bad. So I really liked her in this.
Yep, me too.
I thought she was the most real character in the whole entire thing. Like, oh, okay. It almost made them look worse because she was just like a normal person. And I'm like, oh, okay. So at least if she was like over the top too, I could really like, okay, fine.
This is the tone. This is the tone.
But she comes in and she's just like from a different movie.
Yep.
Walking in. Although speaking of walk, did you notice her walk was a little bit off at times? It almost looked like she was like
teetering.
Just got off a horse or something. Like it was a weird walk. It's like very manly almost.
Yeah. Well, in one scene she did just get off of the horse.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But anyway, so I liked her a lot. But that scene in the car, I remembered it back then and I remember it now. They are like, no. Again, where's the director?
I felt bad for her. I really did.
It was terrible. They weren't funny. They were weird and awkward. I'm like, no, please don't do that. Don't do that. And that's going to win him over. And why is she trying to win him over?
Yeah.
Like, it was so unclear. Like, the chemistry, I know that they were dating at that point in time, which was fine. But I didn't really... I don't know. I didn't buy it that much.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like there should have been a lot more chemistry.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't think they cared that much. Either one of them cared about each other at all. It was bizarre.
So they have the big fight. She slaps him. And then he says, have a nice life. And I laughed loud. I'm like, have a nice life? You're such an asshole.
No.
Oh, my God. He calls her a hypocrite. I mean, it's just like... And she, in that scene, she just becomes dumb. It's like,
yes.
but he is doing all the things you accused him of doing in previous scenes. Why do you believe it now? 5 minutes ago. Why do you believe it now? It's like, it's all working. It's working. Like, you're believing this line of bullshit, like, that he's really mad at you. He's just playing you. But, like, is he playing you? Now you know he's lying. It makes no sense.
She started off strong.
That's right. And I will say, the scene before that where Catherine is sort of manipulating him to break up with her.
Right.
It's so unconvincing that I actually didn't remember that he did.
Yeah, I was like, why?
I was like, why is he doing this?
Why is he doing that? Yeah. Exactly.
Like, who cares? He cares about his reputation that much.
The whole thing was just bizarre. The
weird.
whole thing. And the other thing, too, is, doesn't Annette have a boyfriend? Like, when she showed up, she had a boyfriend.
Right.
And she holds,
Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah.
And she talks about him at the very beginning and, whatever, they love each other or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then within 5 minutes of meeting this guy who's not that great, she's holding his hand.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's like kissing him back.
Yeah.
It's just, what happened to her?
And I got so angry with that scene when they're helping the elderly. And he's so rude to that poor woman.
Yeah.
My God, that is not. And that was clearly done for laughs, and it was not funny.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. And at some point, like, and I hate to keep bringing up Dangerous Liaisons, but I mean, obviously, this is the same movie, basically. At least with John Malkovich, right? You feel like he does have feelings for her. He does seem to change a bit. You feel that he's changed.
Yep.
And that he really does have some feelings towards her, and he is, moving to be a bigger person. Mm-hmm. With Sebastian, he never changes. Mm-hmm. He doesn't change. He's pretending to change, but he never actually changes. The only thing that changes is his feelings to her. He doesn't change as a person.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. So it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why should we want them together? Mm-hmm. Like, why do we care?
Yeah, he's still manipulating people. He's still, like, ready to screw Catherine.
He's ready to screw Catherine. Yeah. He's mean to old ladies. Yeah. Old ladies with dementia.
Yeah. He's not changing. He's not evolving.
He is not evolved at all.
He's in his own words, he's infatuated with her. Yeah. So, like, infatuation, I mean, I digress.
And I could say the same about, Reese's character, Annette. Like, he's appearing to change, so I could see a little bit, like, at least then they could be friends, because even before he wasn't even friend worthy, so I could see her saying, okay, fine, I can be your friend, but there's nothing to indicate why should she even be attracted to him or want to be with him.
So I'm going to fast forward. Do you have any notes before we get to the ending?
Let's see. We did talk about, what was the black man's name?
Ronald.
Ronald. We talked about him a little bit. There's one line, Cecile's mom is confronting him.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got you off the streets. And he's like, got me off the streets? I live on 59 in Park.
I actually really like that. I like how he was like, the black man's leaving. The black man's leaving. Great. It was awesome.
I really liked his character. Actually, his character is probably one of my favorites.
However, he's screwing Catherine.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable.
That was
so
unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
I didn't expect, I didn't believe that he would do that.
And then, Christina, I'm sorry, but like, he's a little, and that is another thing. To me, Ronald is too smart to fall for Catherine's bullshit.
Absolutely.
When she's like, he hit me. I mean, it is true that Sebastian has been sleeping with Cecile.
Right, so he has a little bit of that motivation.
Yeah, but damn, I mean, to run for blocks to beat him up. I mean, and it seemed like he was upset about the Catherine thing, but it's like, I don't know if he'd be that upset about the Catherine thing.
I don't think he'd be upset about Catherine.
You can't, and Catherine is just, oh my God, she's so not, ugh.
She's gross. She's dirty.
So it all culminates into being in the side of the street in Central Park, I guess, and they are fighting.
Yes.
And then Annette enters the picture, and she's like, Sebastian! And they're fighting, and actually, it's kind of a cool scene.
It is. I actually did like that scene also.
When they all go flying into the street.
Yes.
Then I liked it a little less. Because she falls into the street, and then she's like, falls. She pauses.
Oh,
she
yeah.
shakes her head. She fixes her hair. She runs her fingers through her hair. She takes a breath. She's like, what was that all about? And then they cut to the car, they cut to her, they cut to the car, they cut to her.
Yeah,
How
it took
slow!
5 minutes. Like you had plenty of time to get up, brush yourself off, and walk away from this car before getting hit.
Here's a life tip from old roommates: when you ever fall in the street, get up fast and just move.
And just move.
Run out of the street.
Yeah, it's a street.
Don't sit there. Don't sit there and linger for a bit. It's a bad choice. She pauses. She fixes her hair. She realizes she's sitting in the street. How slow is that cab going? So slow.
So slow.
So then Sebastian's like, "I'll save you." And he pushes Annette out of the way. She falls again. And he gets hit by the car. And does he eever? And he goes flying.
Well,
like he
just
cracks the
flies
windshield,
right
flies over and dies.
Like that car must have sped up real quick.
Because it was. I know. Like it was going slow. Yeah. And then it was like saw Sebastian and it did. It was like it went faster. And he's dead. So apparently at this prep school, they don't teach their students that it's maybe rude to interrupt a funeral.
Oh my God.
Those kids, it was like a mass exodus during Sebastian's funeral. During the eulogy. I found them ruder than Catherine.
Yeah.
And they weren't even being quiet about it. Like, go outside, blah, blah, blah. It's like, guys, it's still a funeral. Whether Catherine's a monster or not, Sebastian's one that died, and you're being very disrespectful to his family.
They shouldn't have had it during his funeral.
Yeah.
It should have been the first day of school, and she's giving a welcome speech or something. Yeah. It shouldn't have been during the funeral. That was stupid.
I would also question if the school maybe wouldn't have a delayed opening or something with their one of their students have died. Okay, so the bad news for Catherine is that she is completely exposed by this book. The good news is no one can fucking read his handwriting.
That was terrible. Oh my God. And he is really quite the scrapbooker. Where did he get all of these pictures and doodads and stickers?
He's like going through magazines, clipping out little phrases and words.
That was so...
you cannot picture him doing this for 5 seconds.
Not
scrapbooking.
He would have somebody else do it for him.
Yeah, and this is like a burn book that basically it's a burn book for anyone unfamiliar, and it's like they do the same thing in Mean Girls. But you just can't. Me of. But you cannot picture Sebastian. You can picture the Mean Girls doing this. You can picture Sebastian doing this.
This is flowery pictures all over it.
He's drawing the rosary beads and
oh my God. It was so unbelievable. Again, unbelievable. This was like the theme of the whole movie. Yeah. That scrapbook boy.
But his handwriting.
And then you can't read his writing. So
his handwriting is so messy. Yeah.
Anyone who's doing putting so much effort into making this scrapbook / burn book should at least make legible writing.
Right.
But yeah, that was really funny. I'm like, oh my gosh. And wow, someone has access to some crazy printer to have it printed probably overnight.
We know Cecile wasn't running that machine.
Yeah, no. Oh my God. Insane. Just so crazy. So crazy.
Christina, believe it or not, that's all my notes. I have a bunch of trivia, and of course I have a match game.
That's all I have for notes too. I have an FMK.
Okay. So wait. Let's do more or less or about the same.
Okay, I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah. Less for both of us.
It's just a little.
It's laughable.
There's some strong acting. There's some bad acting. The love story is unconvincing, and there's some really dumb character motivations and all that. Selma Blair was 26. Okay. Playing a 14-year-old. I think that's really problem. That's a big part of the problem here.
26 playing an 8-year-old is more like it. I mean, honestly.
And then Sarah Michelle Gellar was 21. Reese and Ryan were both 23 filming this. Very nice. Budget, $10.5 million. The box office, $76 million. This was a huge hit. It was a huge hit. Wow. And I believe it. I liked it then. Yeah. Columbia Pictures originally wanted Katie Holmes for Annette, but the director thought that she wasn't strong enough to play Annette. Yeah, she seems... I don't know if that would work. This is pretty obvious, I think, but Sebastian and Catherine were always dressed in black. Annette was often dressed in white.
She was always in white. It was obviously white all the time.
And obviously Reese and Ryan got married 3 months after the movie came out, and they divorced in 2008. And I have a match game. Do you want to do your FMK first?
Sure. All right, so my FMK, it features Sebastian.
Okay.
obviously, for Cruel Intentions.
Yeah.
Steph from Pretty in Pink.
Oh, how dare you.
And
mixing movies.
Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh, interesting.
All movies that we have already revisited. Look them up. I don't have the numbers.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Oh gosh.
A little tricky.
Okay, Dane, you have it.
I don't even know what I'm going to do. I didn't even think about what I was going to do. Oh, God. This is hard.
Like, is it? I mean, you have three awful people, so then it just becomes about body types to me.
All right. Oh,
No, you're
All
not
right.
sleeping with... Are you going to sleep with Sebastian? He's like skin and bones. So I am effing Biff.
Okay.
I'm killing Steph. He has no redeemable qualities. He's
Yeah.
a jerk, and he's a snob. And then Sebastian, I'm marrying him because he has money.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm marrying Sebastian because I would hope he's evolved. And also the other thing is he's probably screwed over so many people that I'm hoping it's out of his system a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that he is the lesser of the three evils.
I agree. So what would you do?
Same.
Oh.
Same.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All the way through.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Killing
Nice.
Steph was like the easy way.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't sure about Biff, if I wanted to, I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted to marry him because I'm like, I felt like he was moldable.
Yeah.
As
The
a-
thing
you know
about
what I
Biff
mean?
though, he doesn't
But-
age well. He becomes like that.
Yeah, and he's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
He's a bully.
It's what's funny is when I think about marrying, right?
Yeah.
I think, is this the person I want to like hang out with?
Yeah.
And I think I would rather hang out with Sebastian
Yeah.
than Biff.
At least Sebastian's clever. Like, I think he would, clearly he likes games.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if he wanted to have sex with other people, that's fine. I don't even care. Like, I probably wouldn't have sex with him.
All right, ready for my match game?
Yes.
Cecile is so dumb.
Oh, gosh. How dumb is she?
When Sebastian asked her for a blowjob, she gave an application to a blank.
Ooh, that's funny. All right. Well, there's a few ways I can go.
Uh-huh.
There's a few ways.
A blowjob.
All right. Well,
Cecile is so dumb.
Right.
Oh, sorry, kidding.
ding.
Cecile is so dumb. When Sebastian asked her for a blowjob, she gave him an application to a blank.
To a hair salon.
Yes, hair salon! Yay!
So what's funny about that,
Yeah.
my first thought was
Landscaper.
balloons.
Oh, cute.
Balloons and candles. I almost did like a party
Like
planner.
party planner, yeah.
But then at the last minute I was like, oh
Party
wait.
City.
Yeah, like Party City
Yeah.
or something, yeah. So, but I couldn't quite find a good job for both of those things. So
Yeah.
great.
Very
okay, we got a
good.
match. We got 2 matches. FMK
Oh
match.
my God, that never happens.
And match game match.
Thank you, Cruel Intentions.
You know what? Maybe I didn't hate that movie after all. There is a redeeming quality.
And my apologies to Selma Blair. That was cruel.
I think, honestly, if she were here right now, I think she would probably agree with everything we had to say.
Yeah.
I can't imagine she's like, no, actually, that was when I find our
Ah!
differences. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine
No, I
she
know,
would ever
yeah.
feel that way.
Yeah.
So,
And we wish her well. And that was Cruel Intentions. Thanks, everybody. And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.